traveling is important.
It's not
but
the same.
You can travel in different ways, right? You can go to a club or where you only speak your own language and you only find other tourists from your home country. But you can also travel and really get acquainted with the locals. So international experience is so much more than just work experience.
Welcome to International Business Today, where we discuss the most critical issues in international business with top academic experts and thought leaders. I'm Paula Caligiuri, a professor in the International Business and Strategy Group at Northeastern University's DeMoore McKim School of Business, the sponsor of this podcast. Today, I am so happy to be joined by Marion Festing, Professor of Human Resource Management and Intercultural Leadership at the ESCP Business School in Berlin, Germany, where she is the Academic Director of the Talent Management Institute and the Excellence Center of Intercultural Management. Marion, welcome to International Business Today.
Thank you so much, Paula, for having me, and thank you very much for this invitation to contribute to this podcast.
And welcome to Boston.
Thank you very much.
Came in from Germany. This is wonderful.
Yes.
So tell us, you do a lot of work in the area of international experience and what international experience means for one's career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about that. So my own career was very international.
Okay.
So I studied in France first, and then I really got infected, right, by this international experience. And I think the most important impression for me was I was the only German student at a French university. So I really had to dive deep. And this is my understanding of international experience. And then I had the opportunity to do that a few more times in my life.
Where?
So I went to Australia, I went to the US, I worked in Tunisia, I worked in Vietnam, so quite a lot of
all over the world. Okay.
possibilities where I could work, where I could teach, where I had some practical experience. So I believe very much in international experience. Now, what is it? Is it still the same? When I look how international experience is researched, we always see that the focus is on work experience. And I worked a lot with German multinational companies, and there are a few big ones who say, well, international work experience is a very important element of a career. And I think this is not enough, right? So I was thinking about my own experience. So what about international business education? And we did a study some years ago where we looked at what does international business education do with you. So in a very early stage, you go and you talk to students from different countries, you talk to professors from different countries, you live in a different country, maybe you do an internship. So it's a very rich experience, which for a long time was overlooked. Now, I would say now it's included a little bit more in the career management of companies, but there's even more to that. With this globalized world we have today, right? So we have people who have lived abroad with their parents. We have people who go already abroad during their high school education, right? So there's so many more opportunities. We have migrants, we have refugees, right? So, and all of this international experience matters as well. So what I would say, our understanding today has to go beyond this work experience, right? So it's not only work experience, it's educational experience, and it's also this private experience. And now people may say, well, I'm traveling so much. But traveling is important.
It's not the same.
You can travel in different ways, right? You can go to a club or where you only speak your own language and you only find other tourists from your home country. But you can also travel and really get acquainted with the locals. So it's always about this learning. What does international experience do with you? And of course, the more you deep dive into the culture, the more you learn, right? And so this is why I said international experience is so much more than just work experience.
I agree 100%. I worry so much about people who get very excited about how many stamps they have on their passport or how many frequent flyers miles they have when it's like, you know what, that's not the same as cultural agility. It's the quality of the experience you had. When you're there. I remember companies asking, well, Paul, how long does it take to become culturally agile? Does it take 2 years like a typical international assignment, or can we do it in 6 months? How about 2 weeks? And it's all about the quality of the experience, the extent to which you get out of that comfort zone and push your boundary.
Exactly. And you already mentioned cultural agility. There are other concepts like cultural intelligence, or we have career construct theory, which talks about career adaptability. So resources you build up, which you bring into your career, right? So you build resources during your, let's say, international experience. And this is quite similar to cultural agility. So you're interested, you have a curiosity. Oh, I have been in France. How does it work in the UK or in China or wherever, right? So you have this curiosity. You have this awareness. Something is different, because some people just don't really realize that it's not the right way how they interact, right? Other people interact in a different way. So how do I do that? They learn about that. They have this curiosity. And then they also have confidence, right? If you have been abroad quite a few times, if you have interacted with the locals, you know how to do that. And you're not afraid of a situation of uncertainty. And this is, according to our research, a very important point when we come to career success, right? So career success in a global career. And you build all of this if you dive deep, right?
Right. And have that natural curiosity, that tolerance of ambiguity.
Yeah.
I love the study around humility, and that the idea that people who go into these multicultural settings, as you said, they sense that something's different, but then they have the humility to say, hey, look, I'm really good at, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a great journalist or a great physician or a great strategy, finance person, whatever, but I don't know how to do that here.
Yeah.
And so they have to kind of get familiar with the culture, but also connect with people who are host nationals or from that context in order to learn. I just think that's a really important piece of.
Yeah, and you just mentioned learning, right? So it's a continuous learning experience. And of course, it's related to humility, right? So I know what I can, but I don't know what you can, how you think, how you interact in your environment. So there's so much I can learn from you. And this then builds up my knowledge, like the cognitive level, right? But it also builds again, or strengthens my curiosity. Okay, this is different. So how is it in other countries, right? So I think this learning is very important. And from our research, we have seen that this is also one aspect which international managers value when they think about their career success, right? So having learning and development opportunities, they define that subjectively as part of their career success, right?
And that ability, they can look back at their career and say it was that experience that was the pivot point, but it also was probably that international experience that started to broaden their tolerance for ambiguity, their ability to thrive outside their comfort zone, and other things that enabled them to be successful.
Exactly.
So what can companies do to foster this? This is such an important quality for many of their employees to have. We're becoming more diverse.
Yeah.
How do we foster
I think companies are now learning more and more what they can do, right? Before, companies were looking for international work experience, maybe at the very beginning, did you study abroad? But now they look broader at, okay, what do you bring in, right? So what kind of competencies do you have? And this can be private background, this can be educational background, this can be work background. But if we look from an international HRM lens, right? So this means that in our selection criteria, we should be much broader, right? And then some companies always look at what is the cost of international assignments. Of course, it's a very valuable aspect and a very important one. But I'm aware of one German company, a multinational company. They send many more people abroad than they would need, because they really say we want to develop this international experience in our workforce, right? So, and if you want to climb up the ladder, we want you to have worked abroad, at least for short-term assignment, but usually for a traditional assignment. And they really keep on going, and they have a very experienced international workforce. First of all, they recruit them with international whatever experience, I would say, right? Private,
personal,
educational.
right.
And then they invest in that. And I can only say, well, this is needed. And we have all these discussions about global work is changing, right? You have global domestics, you have these frequent business travelers, you have commuters. And yes, there are a lot of possibilities. But living and working in a different country has a different quality, right? So, and this is what these companies are encouraging. In addition to that, what we saw in our research as well is having a sponsor or having a mentor, right, who talks with the persons who might have already some international experience and really explains them how important that is to leverage that and to further develop that and encourage people also to go abroad, maybe with a family, right? So this mentoring, this career support is very important.
And helping them make the decision of whether this opportunity is really right for them, because it's not right for everyone.
No, that's right. So you need some
Mentors
help with
good,
that, right? And the company I was talking about, they have a very interesting concept. Even before people are thinking about going abroad, they invite them and have seminars and say, well, what does it mean to live abroad for your family? So think about that before. Is it something you want to do? And then they offer opportunities, right? And you can take them or not. Yeah,
that's terrific. So, Marion, you have had a global career yourself, and certainly you have self-initiated some opportunities. Your organizations have sent you on some opportunities. Mm-hmm. You've gone through the gamut, and this is something you love. So it's not just that, I have to do it because the company's sending me. This is, you fall into that category of you do it because you have an international orientation. Do you have advice for other people who are out there listening who have an international orientation on how they could manage their careers?
So I would say be open. And if there is an opportunity coming up, take it, right? And of course, there are always many reasons why it's difficult. And I remember that I was working, I'm based in Germany, but I was working from our French campus for a period of time. I had small kids and it was difficult, but it was worthwhile, right? So sometimes you just need to have the encouragement by some people who say, well, do it. And of course, you also need your private background, which has to fit into that decision, right? So you have to have a family which supports that, which is in favor of that. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, right? But I would always say yes, and then you find the way how to do that, right? But it's so valuable, and it changes you so much, right? I was talking about this career adaptabilities before. So you really develop resources which help you to cope with situations of uncertainties in another country and which make you at the end more successful.
Absolutely. Marion, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paula, for having me.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us for today's episode of International Business Today. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your network. As always, we'd love to hear from you.